All right, guys. Michael and Jonathan here wanted to get a quick video recorded for the discussion about the Political Action Committee, the Etowah Community PAC, and what's going on with Advance Etowah. So, first off, we've got some accusations and stuff flying around out there, and we're going to get through and try to explain everything that's gone on. Nothing nefarious. We stand by all the actions that we've taken, and in fact, all of it is actually public information. Just wanted to kind of throw out there. Here's a text with mayoral candidate Craig Ford and Jonathan, the chair of the PAC, and you can read it for yourself. But it seemed at the time that he was pursuing funds from this political action committee. So stick around. We're going to dive in to explain everything here as quickly as we can. First and foremost, let me say, Jonathan, I apologize for dragging you out of the paint booth. You were basically getting ready for the Olympics of the aviation industry, Oshkosh. You got planes to finish. I know you're probably going to be working till the wee hours of the morning for the next 7 days to get up there and get ready in Oshkosh. So I will say, for those of you that are watching, you do smell a little like you've been in a paint shop today.
I have been, and I apologize for that. But
Well, so this is something we were going to talk about, and of course, with the posts that were out there, if somebody wants to argue that we were going to try and hide or cover up any of this kind of stuff, then all I can say is that that's just not the truth. There was some stuff that we've been trying to make decisions on how we were going to handle things from the Advanced Etowah side of things. The PAC has been trying to decide what they were going to do as well. And so here we are. We're going to try and explain everything. I do want to I want to lead with this, and we'll dive through more of this, and I'm going to let Jonathan explain what this political action committee is. I want to remind everybody, all we're trying to do, our conversation has been to try and have something greater than a conversation about just August 23rd and the mayoral and all the Gadsden elections. We're trying to have a conversation about what our community, and when I say our community, I mean Etowah County, our whole county, because every municipality, every action that's taken has an impact on all the rest of us. I mean, you earn, your business is in the city of Gadsden, but you're not necessarily a Gadsden resident and voter, and there's just too many other stories of the exact same thing. So, that has been one of our pillar platforms all along. So again, there's so much more going on right now than just about an election decision on August 23rd. So please don't lose perspective of that as we get into the weeds of this campaign. All right. So Etowah Community PAC. What's the background? Where did it come from? Can you explain, kind of what the structure is and what is it?
sure. So like Advance Etowah, the Etowah Community PAC, we knew from the beginning was going to be one of our big battles was going to be the election season, because a lot of the issues we were having with the rendering plant, and then we got into issues with just processes and procedures. And as we dug into that, we realized there were so many issues that this was going to be affected and decided, and things were going to have to change with the upcoming election. And so that's where the PAC came from. That was the core foundation. There is nothing beyond us just trying to help the community, take us in the right direction. And there's really no other objective than just helping both Gadsden and the surrounding communities by supporting candidates that follow the issues that Advance Etowah finds very important. That's really the core of this. And what we found is when we got it started, a lot of people were in support of this PAC. We've got a lot of really well established city residents of Gadsden. We've got people outside of the city. We've got business owners inside the city limits and outside of the city limits that are invested in the community and really just wanted to donate and help these new political candidates with a little bit of um, you know a look into the future, a little bit more imagination into what Gadsden can be. So I mean that's really the foundation. That's it. It's pretty simple. We just want to support candidates of the election that support the issues that we find important and the people who contributed to the PAC.
Yep. And so you can see there's the names of those that have contributed to this political action committee. There's no coincidence that it got named the Etowah Community PAC. There's some overlap in names of people that were part of the Etowah Community proposal and project to develop the airport, the counter proposal to Pilgrim's Pride. Um, Obviously, and let's just some technicalities. So as soon as this PAC was formed and you were named chairman, you were off the board of Advance Etowah, and we're doing the best we can to try and maintain, number one, the legal requirements of AE and not supporting or not endorsing particular candidates. And we've felt all along that we've done the best we can. We also acknowledge the fact that we're in a fairly small community, and we've got people that have had plenty of opinions for years on who they support, and it's kind of silly as individuals to think that all of a sudden these folks that have come together are going to be, completely neutral. So you now have acted on behalf. Now, who is on the who else are helping you make the decisions on the distribution of the funds?
So it's myself, Trey Pierman, and Butch Delthit.
Okay. So if you know those names, these folks on the screen, they put their trust in them to assess the information, as Jonathan said, using a lot of what we got, the candidate profile information, interviews, other sources that they felt in. So how did you kind of come to the determination on how to pay out the first wave, before the primaries? That the first one went out in April, beginning of April?
It went out in April.
Okay. Let me bring up real quick the names of who has received funds. And I'm going to swap that up here. So this was the distribution list that got reported. And again, guys, all of this is reported, and there's a database. I've shared the link. Multiple people have shared the link. We're going to make it as easy as we can. If you want to know all the numbers and all that kind of stuff. I didn't necessarily want to dive into all that today, but so how did you make the determination? What were you guys thinking about?
So there were a few factors that went into determining where the money went. The biggest factor is, of course, the issues, which was up front. One of the key points in our grading system was transparency. Then it was, of course, experience. And then the next, their ideas and what was next in their plan of what they wanted to do and how that was explained. So really that was the core rating system of how the funding was delivered. And then as we were going through it, we decided that anyone who put forth the effort to actually fill out the information and give us that data and their viewpoints on everything, we gave everyone a contribution. It may not have been as large as it was to some of the candidates, but everyone got something.
So I know there's so every effort was made to get the information out to people that, hey, this is how you can participate and be assessed as part of this PAC. So I want you guys to keep in mind, especially the candidates that had not announced prior to what was that, back in March, and particularly now a lot of these city council candidates, no one knew that they were going to run, and so they weren't sending any of this information So I do want to say, what's the intention from the PAC moving forward with supporting some of these other candidates and trying to assess what's going on? Because obviously, and if you guys can go look at the numbers, you didn't pay everything out all at once. Can what's kind of the thought process there?
So we've saved some funding. We want to be able to, you know, put those campaign funds and donations in the places we feel they're going to be most effective, and to the people who are really at the core of their campaign or following those issues that we've found important. One thing that's changed is we're actually going to be doing a little bit of contributions on our end to run some of our own advertising for some of these candidates and for these issues. So instead of just making a campaign based donation every time, we're actually going to spend some of that funding and run some ads, some paid advertisements for those candidates.
And that's where I definitely want to make sure everybody is clear and understand when you see me and the actions I'm taking. Michael Wildman, they decided that to help facilitate both on the AE side of things and particularly working with some of the candidates, and specifically Heather New for mayor. The PAC has hired me as Wildman Digital, my marketing firm, which is me as a freelancer, to help produce content that's issues based for these things. So on the AE side of things, we want to, number one, encourage and remind everybody to get out there and vote and make your voice heard. That's going to be a clear thing. We're going to keep talking about the issues and trying to understand more about the issues. The master plan development, restructuring the GAA, restructuring the IDA, those kind of discussions that are at the core of what the PAC stands for. And then they'll run some paid ads about that kind of stuff. We're going to continue the work with putting together the candidate profile page. For those that provide the information, we still, I wholeheartedly think that is and I've gotten a lot of good feedback that's a good resource to help everyone know who's running, who they're, what they're running for, find links to stuff, their websites, their social media presences, all of that kind of stuff. So if you kind of want to look at it like this, the PAC has kind of become a sponsor. I don't want to use that word, but that's kind of what they're doing. That they are contributing to a nonprofit, or they're paying Wildman Digital to produce content for a nonprofit about the issues that they're concerned about. And guys, a lot of this, trust me, I know the two of us have probably learned more about political legalese than we ever thought we'd ever care to know. But the truth is, this is the way a lot of this stuff works with every candidate at all levels of politics. And so if you look, most of the candidates probably have received money from some PAC somewhere, whether it's from Montgomery or national PAC. I mean, I don't know. There are other local PACs. I didn't know any of that until about a year ago. I had no idea. I didn't really understand what a PAC was. Maybe I'm a below average, political intelligence, but there's nothing nefarious about a political action committee. It's the way politics works. Giving money to support candidates, campaigns cost funds. So every candidate has received funds from all kinds of people. So there, again, nothing nefarious in giving funds to candidates to support their campaigns and to help them get elected. But back to, you will see me. I'll give you the disclosure when we're doing content that is funded by the Political Action Committee. You see that kind of stuff pop up in ads. This whole "I endorse this message," all that kind of stuff. That's the legalese, and we have no intention of doing anything non-transparent. I've seen a few comments and concerns about revealing all the information of who's been involved in lawsuits and all that kind of stuff. None of that. It's all been revealed. And in fact, I would argue that everything that we've done as a community, that this whole thing with the rendering plant is probably been one of the most open, well broadcast, well documented events in the history of Etowah. So, feel free, if you've got questions, keep hitting them up. I'll take a quick second. So we have gone in and built advancedetowah.app.com, the rendering timeline. And we're doing our best going through and trying to build in a day. And it's just a timeline page of a lot of the stuff that's occurred with, all the filings, all of that kind of stuff that's been that we've gone through this last more than 2 years now.
One thing I think we should clarify too on the donors to the PAC, that the names of the people who donated to the PAC did not donate directly to political campaigns.
Right.
They were donating specifically to issue-based PAC. And then we have decided as the PAC who follows those fundamental issues the best. So I think it should probably be important to clarify that those people and donors have not directly endorsed those candidates.
Again, PACs exist in all different ways for all different purposes. You can have PACs that are dedicated to candidates. You can have PACs that are dedicated to parties. You can have PACs like or you can have PACs like the Etowah Community PAC that are dedicated to issues. There are PACs that are ongoing, that go on from year to year to year. There are PACs that have existed in Etowah County for a long time. This PAC was intentionally set up and created and designed. It will end December 31st of 2022. So it's not meant to be an ongoing thing. It is meant to be a one-time thing to help address the issues that are important to this group of people, and then it'll go away in the end of December, and that's it. That's a pretty key thing. So this is not meant to be. None of us. I don't want to be sitting here next year having these conversations. So we're kind of. I want to get back to work.
Right. Back to regular life.
So, all right. So for the nitty gritty, and I hate that us asking questions. We had never intended to be in a position where it came across as we were trying to attack anyone, and certainly it seems that there are plenty that are going to disagree and argue that we are. One of the frustrations that we had way early on in this was that sense that anytime you ask a question of someone that we got accused of attacking them, and that is definitely alarming. And I know, I know you've been kind of frustrated by that as well. And we all, as voters, as citizens, we have every right to ask questions, and not really, like, if you're going to say things like people from outside the community are trying to take over, I don't see why there's anything wrong with saying, well, who exactly are you talking to or about, because we want to know, so that I have no problem. So with that being said, everybody, I'm sure, or maybe you haven't seen the post from mayoral candidate Craig Ford about his returning the contribution, and he clearly states in his letter. Well, here, what are the words? That the purposes of, and he calls it the Advanced Etowah PAC. It is not the Advanced Etowah PAC. It's the Etowah Community PAC. That the purposes do not represent the best interests of Gadsden. So I guess you're saying that we don't represent the best interests of Gadsden, and I've said in posts, if the citizens of Gadsden feel that way, that is absolutely, that's your right, and that's the beauty of our democracy. and you know, we don't agree, and our purposes are far bigger than just Gadsden. Not about taking over Gadsden, but you know, I think we've the silly conversation that only the people in that live and reside in Gadsden are the ones that should have anything to say about what goes on in Gadsden. I'm just going to say I think that's a silly discussion. And you know, if that's the way you feel, then that's the way you feel, and let us know, and we'll move on. But I do want to kind of set the record straight in terms of a timeline on the information that was given, and what our understanding or your understanding was as far as the relationship with Mr. Ford and the PAC. And I'm going to pull this up over me, and I'm going to turn it over to you, and you tell me about what your understanding was in giving money to Craig.
So, I mean, based on this text message, this would not be something that I would um, get from someone who did not want money from our PAC contributions. We went from figuring out where our funding fit into his campaign to he doesn't support what we're doing pretty quickly. Well, not pretty quickly, within 3 months. And I think there's a timeline there or a graph that they've probably made, and where they decided that they thought that the political currency they could create from the $1,000 check going back crossed the path of what they could actually do with the funding. So and that's their decision to make, and that's fine. But you know, at the time of this text in April, when we were giving out funding, the same uh, lawsuits were in place. Nothing has changed since April. The same exact issues that we found important to us were the same in April. Mm-hmm. They have not changed, and transparency has been a big part of that. And honestly, one of the primary reasons that we didn't give Craig's campaign as much as we gave to the others is because in his information he sent to Advance Etowah, he very clearly stated in one of his messages that he had been quiet through the entirety of the rendering plant. And now that it was over, he wanted to come out and say that he was opposed to it from the beginning and had been working in the background to end the project. And so someone who's going to lead the community usually leads from the front, not from the shadows, not behind the scenes. And that's really what we've got to change. And that's the reason why he didn't get the same amount of funding. And I mean, that's it. I don't really, it's pretty simple.
Yeah. Just some other technicalities, and I'm not going to show the check and put the routing number and all that kind of stuff on the internet again. And don't worry, I've seen a lot of folks, particularly from the banking industry, that have expressed concerns about that. That has been dealt with, and a huge shout out to Mike Self over at Teachers. He jumped on that real quick when Christy gave him a call. My understanding is that that's been taken care of and fixed. What is the date? 12. So it's the 18th of July. So this was the envelope. I saw a few people say, "Hey, you know, the envelope in the picture." Not. So this was 12 July, 2022. When he sent it back, for those that care, you know, I mean, it is what it is. But I think it was worth, because there were a lot of questions about all of that. So this was sent out in April, and I don't know if there's anything more necessary to really kind of cover. I mean, that's just that's what this thing is. So,
I mean, I'm not offended. I'm happy we can take the funds and put it in a place where it's, you know, maybe better suited.
Yeah.
If it's, you know, if that's their choice, that the Craig Ford campaign does not support transparency and the issues that Advance Etowah and this community have been fighting for, I mean, that's their decision to make, right? So
absolutely, that is fair enough. So to finish off kind of the PAC side of things, you know, all of the funds have not been allocated. Y'all are still obviously trying to figure out some things. We do have some of these city council folks. You know, I've made a couple posts with Advance Etowah in terms of get the information in. Is that kind of still the process that you're looking for, is folks to come in and get their information in and fill out the questionnaire, you know, and then we'll get it paired up with you and Trey and Dr. Douthit, and y'all can figure out. So right, so there are still some funds for particularly some of these city council members that may need.
Yeah, the city council seats are going to be, just as important as the mayoral
Mhm.
election. So we've got some funding there. We want to get in everyone's information that's running for the council seats. And keep in mind, this is not just for funding. You're not filling this out to get PAC donations. We hope that you fill it out and use Advance Etowah as a database for information so that people can easily compare candidates. And, really the big part of this is we're hiring people for a job. This goes beyond. We're friends with everyone. I have no issues with anyone who's running for any seat at all. Great people. I'd be happy to go to back 40 with you and hang out. I'm okay with that. But we're hiring people to do a job, and it's about finding the most effective people to fill those roles. And without that information, people just can't make the right decision. And sometimes that means, maybe you're not the best candidate for Gadsden, or maybe you're just not the best candidate right now, and there's a
Right.
different direction. And so, we
It,
want you on board. We want that information. We want to get the info, and we want to make it easy for everyone to assess and make it easy for the citizens of Gadsden to make that decision on their own.
So, again, I go back to what I kind of started with, that, this discussion is about something a lot bigger than just these elections in August. Obviously, the PAC has weighed more heavily their support behind some candidates over others. And that has transpired over the past months. So you take that for what it's worth. I can't. This rhetoric of outsiders and it's extremely, I think, dangerous. And you can if you disagree with me, then again, that's fine. The goal that we've had in all that we've done has been to open up the lines of communication to tell truth. Jonathan set up the opposition group very early on, and the intent was never to control a narrative in there. Although, of course, I'm sure plenty of people are going to argue otherwise. But the intent was to have a discussion about what was going on, and hopefully everybody would get educated. And yeah, obviously with the rendering plant, we as a group wanted to sway one way. That everybody, look, you need to understand what this thing means. But it very quickly became about a lot more than just the rendering plant. You've heard me say the rendering plant was just a symptom. As we peeled back the layers of the onion of what goes on, how did that rendering plant get there from, David Hook standing up and saying, oh, it's only 25%, of the way through. And then, a few weeks later, we finally get documentation that proves, hey, they've got construction bids out, they've got water permits. So they had a planned construction date of February 21. And we started all of this with the idea of, well, we're just going to sit down and have a conversation with a lot of folks, and surely once we kind of all understand what's going on, and then more and more stuff came to be, and we're going to talk more about that in the coming weeks. For sure, we don't have anything to hide. We really genuinely want to have a good conversation about where our community wants to go. I think this accusation of people trying to take over the city of Gadsden, I really don't know how to defend myself against that. I guess I can only say that at the end of the day, Jonathan, myself, David and Julie Chadwick, Trent Thrasher, Christy Knowles, and the team here at Knowles and Sullivan, and I guess all the other interveners that were involved, Joe Taylor and Andrew Jones and Tim Ramsey and Jamie Grant and all the the county commissioners uh, Mayor Snyder from Southside that was willing to, um, willing to file suit against Gadsden. If the impression is that we're trying to take over, to have some nefarious control, I really don't know how to say anything other than that's just not true. And you're going to have to decide that for yourself. And if that's the way you feel, then I'm sorry. I don't know.
Things like the Clean Water Act suit, and with the sewage issues, and that suit in particular, it's unfortunate that it had to come to that point to
Yes.
get anything done in that side of town. Anybody there will tell you, East Gadsden will say that they've had sewage issues and
Mm.
flooding problems for decades, literally decades, and they've been begging someone to help. And it's unfortunate that it has to come to the point of a lawsuit to bring in, federal level regulations to actually give people a clean environment to live and their kids to be raised in. And these are all things that came from the rendering plant. We're not trying to take over the city. We're trying to help the city. And unfortunately, it's taken more than a conversation and good faith, because obviously nothing's been done about it in the past. And I kind of want to touch a little bit about the outsiders thing. I run a business. I'm on the Gadsden Airport. I'm very dependent on the Gadsden Airport Authority. At any point, they could probably find a reason to kick me off the airport. I'm not, I'm putting my neck out there for my livelihood and all of my employees to try to help the community. There's no puppet master, anything behind me. I'm visibly frustrated. I think, like a lot of people, and if you've lived through the last 2 years of dealing with this and you haven't really lived through it with us, I could see how from the outside this could look like a bunch of frustrated people just complaining about some stuff that really doesn't matter, and we're kind of taking it out of context. But I think for those of you who have lived that 2 years and seen what can happen when we don't hold our leaders accountable, I think you really, really should be emotionally invested. And if you're not like into this election wholeheartedly and frustrated and mad and wanting to see change, then we really, like Michael said earlier, I really don't know what else to do.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, I'm trying to help Gadsden because I'm there, and that's where my tax dollars go. That's where my employees spend their money. That's where they live, and I don't even get a vote. So I'm depending on Gadsden citizens to pay attention,
Right. And
help
we've
us help you.
and I think that touches on, we have said for well over a year now that, hey, the rendering plant really ends with the elections. So I'm not really sure why anyone will be surprised that we are a part of that process. We've and that the people involved with all of this, aren't actively engaged, in trying to make the best of what they, the best decisions they think they can make. So I do hope, like Jonathan said, I hope for the citizens of Gadsden right now. People can argue that this is just about the city of Gadsden election and nothing else, and I can't disagree more vehemently. Um, this is an election about our whole county, and whether we want to move forward together. But I respect it if you want to be left alone. And for some of us younger folks, and particularly for a young guy like Jonathan, let's make it clear. I would ask that you do that as the city of Gadsden, as voters of Gadsden. Make it clear to him so that he can figure out and determine he's got a huge future ahead of him. And he's built something amazing out at the airport. And he needs to know, and I'm going to speak for him. He needs to know what y'all's intention are as a city. Do you want to open up more opportunity? Do you want to grow? Um, you know, he needs to know. Um, to be continued to be treated the way a lot of everyone, not just Gadsden citizens, have been treated through a lot of this process. I think it's only fair to all of us. And I've said that the rendering plant was probably one of the easier issues that the majority would deal with. So now here we find ourselves in a more difficult situation. I hope that this narrative of how evil we are, because we want to try and influence what goes on in the city of Gadsden. I don't think that's evil at all, because we all live, work, earn money in the city of Gadsden. You've got a lot of those names of people that are involved that were contributors. They're business owners in Gadsden. They may not rest their head in Gadsden, but they own property and real estate in Gadsden. They're very invested in the future of Gadsden. So, anywho's, I think that is most of what we want to get through. Sorry, probably a lot of droning on and on. So we're not going to do candidate interviews, and we're not going to do roundtable discussions with Advanced Etowah, especially at this point. It appears that there's a clear narrative that's being shaped that we're this bad, nefarious group of people. So I wouldn't even remotely want to waste the time to try and persuade those folks to come on and have a conversation with me. And then with the number of incumbents from particularly the city council running, again, I'm not going to kid myself. I mean, they've made it very clear over and over and over again what they think about us and what they think about me. And I wouldn't expect that they would come and sit down and have a conversation with me. And way early on, their attorney told them not to. So obviously I'm more than happy if they want to reach out to me and contact me to talk about these issues and their thoughts on their issues. But that's just, I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't think that the city of Gadsden, I don't think that any of the voters around here, I don't think anyone in Etowah County will get much value out of us doing that. So we're going to stick to talking about issues, try to get a little bit smarter on things. Like I said, I will keep the candidate profiles going if we can get information in. I want us as a community to have a conversation. And I want that, and when I say community, I mean Etowah County, about what's going on. So I think that pretty much sums up most of what we kind of wanted to cover with this. Again, we're going to continue. We're more than happy to answer any questions and be forthright with any information. Most everything has been posted probably 42 times on the internet somewhere. If you head to advancedetowah.com, you can go into the rendering plant and the rendering timeline. We built that out. There's still stuff we're gonna keep chipping away at adding, but there's copies of the lawsuits, copies of the PAC donors, all that kind of stuff. We'll get links out. If folks want to pull, if you think it'd be valuable, I think we can probably find the time. We can go pull the contribution lists for all of the people running, all of the reports that they've made in all of the elections, and maybe we can hang that somewhere if you guys want that. I've already shared the link, and I'll continue to share it. You can go look at it. It's actually a pretty good website on the state level, and Etowah County is pretty simple as well. All right, guys. Well, I hope this answered some of your questions, and we will certainly get more information out. If you've got more questions, we'll get more information. We've got some other issues stuff that we're working on to get folks together and have some discussions. Enjoyed the conversation the other day about the sports complexes. This seems like a really uncomfortable time in our community, and I'm going to be honest, it's not fun. Not fun at all. I don't like this. It's very uncomfortable, and I'm. It's just something I'm ready to have done. But I believe in what we've been fighting for 2 years. There are certain reasons why I invested like I did into this fight, because the people involved, I came to believe were genuine, and it reached all levels of people from, folks that were wealthy to people that are living paycheck to paycheck, but just wanting to fight for their homes. And I still believe that that's what this has all been about. I'm proud to have been a part of it. Something amazing has happened in Etowah County, and an amazing opportunity sits before us. And I do hope that the people of Gadsden will, jump in, continue to fight. Many of you have fought, and this is the last major battle to overcome a huge hurdle and get away from the same rhetoric that we've heard for so long. So, Jonathan, get back to the paint booth.
I got to go back to work.
Yeah, we will talk to you guys in the next one. Again, drop your questions in the comments, and we'll do the best we can. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.